If there are any old school BOC fans, Blue Oyster Cult, their new album is worth checking out. Probably the best thing they've done since Fire of Unknown Origin. Though I am a Club Ninja fan, so I'm not sure what that says. But BOC, yeah, check it out. It's not bad. Everyone, welcome back. I am Shaggy, the opinionated hippie. Thank you for joining me. I'm currently ranking every single Frank Zappa album from one all the way to that last one, which shall not be named. And we are currently on number 25, Bongo Fury. This was released in 1975. It is essentially a document of the Frank Zappa Captain Beefheart tour of that spring. Unfortunately, it is the only document of that tour, other than a track on You Can't Do That on Stage Anymore, Volume 4, the original Torture Never Stops, sort of the blues version. Couple things. One, this is still a great album. We are 25 albums in. I would still rank this as like on a scale of 1 to 10, like a 9 or above. I absolutely love this album. One of the reasons why it is so high on the list, i.e. not closer to number 1, is because there's a couple studio tracks in the middle that I think weigh down, and 2, because I've been lucky enough to hear tapes from this tour, and there is some amazing material out there, and this album could be a perfect 10. So this is essentially going to be a plea for why the Zappa Family Trust needs to release an entire Bongo Fury, spring 75, 2, 3, 4 disc set. Let's just get it all out there. So anyways, this is, again, spring 75. It's a lot of the members of the band from the 74 band. So Tom Fowler still on bass. You had George Duke. You got Napoleon Murphy Brock. But you now have Terry Bozzio on drums for the first time. And you have Denny Wally on slide guitar. So you have the addition of those two. Plus, of course, Captain Beefheart doing the Captain Beefheart thing, which includes a lot of different stuff, including harmonica, singing, all that kind of stuff. Plus, you get Bruce Fowler on trombone. So it's a really eclectic mix of musicians. And the set lists were pretty eclectic. There was old stuff, new stuff, stuff that would, never be played again, stuff that would stick around and become tour favorites. This is a pretty good document of it, but it could be much better. It starts off with Deborah Cadabra, which is the perfect mesh of Zappa meets Beefheart. It's got Beefhearty lyrics, a lot of references to Southern California, which I appreciate as a Southern California native. And it's just got music that's all over the place. It kind of jumps from genre to genre. It's all these shifting gears nonstop. When performed live, this is an edited version of what they would normally do. It usually started off with a longer, maybe 30 to 45 seconds more of Frank on guitar and Beefheart kind of improvising some lyrics. That was edited out. And so you jump kind of in about 45 seconds into what is the normal song. And then at the end of it, there are different parts edited throughout to just kind of tighten it up. But then at the end, there was a reprise of one of the musical codas would come. One of the musical segments would come back as like a coda, and that additional minute plus of music kind of gave the song a more complete, a little more serious, heavier feel than the one on this album. Though I still love the album version. It is one of my top 10 songs from Zappa. I did a video of that if you want to check it out. But great way to kick off the album. That's followed by Carolina Hardcore Ecstasy, underrated Frank song. Again, this is one song the ZFT does not need to be released. It was painful on this tour. Frank edited out. In the chorus, every line is sung twice, and so it just kind of drags on and on and on. This is a great version of this. This is one of those songs I would have loved to see other like late 70s, early 80s bands do other than the 84 band. Love this song. And musically, I think it's one of Frank's more like melancholy. I think if the lyrics had been different, Frank could have written a really powerful, serious, melancholy, I'm not going to say love song, but something that had a little more weight, because the music has that. There's something about this progression and this that just like makes me feel a little sad. Even though the story is twisted there's a little bit of sadness in it. But I love this song, underrated song. And then you get Sam with the showing scalp flat top, particular about the point it made, which is another perfect collaboration of Beefheart's just rambling poetry with these incredibly Beefheartian phrases, and then Frank essentially conducting the band through all sorts of different music, responding to the captain. This was performed live often, and again, sometimes Beefheart would add extra lyrics, sometimes he would forget entire chunks. The jams were different, sometimes they were more George Duke funky. Each one was a little bit different. This is a great version of it. This has a sloppy edit into Poofter's Froth, Wyoming Plans Ahead, which is one of 2 songs about the United States' 200-year anniversary in 1976. Pretty good country and western song. Nothing great, but also it's not bad. It's a fun listen. Other than the title, it's a pretty good song. Again, the end of this song usually jammed a little more, not like a heavy jam, but it had a little more tinkering. And then it would cut into the end of Echidna's Arf of You, that really fast kind of spirally ending that would go right into Don't You Ever Watch That Thing. That was tacked on to the end of that, and then that would lead into whatever song followed. So Frank edited that out. It would have been nice to hear that. And then side 1 closes with, I always forget which one comes first, 200 Years Old. Isn't that good of a song? It's a studio number. It sounds studio. It just doesn't fit with the vibe of the rest of the album. The band never performed this song live, though they did jam like the melody during an advanced romance where Frank would kind of talk through some lyrics and then that melody was played. In an advanced romance, which we're going to get to later, which is another reason why the Zappa Family Trust needs to release more from this tour. So that ends side 1, which other than the last track is just a phenomenal side of music. Side 2 kicks off with Cucamonga, another studio track, this one an autobiographical about, recording music in his early days. The music for this originally came from a song called Farther Oblivion. Not Father Oblivion, the Don't Eat the Yellow Snow track, but Farther Oblivion, which Frank debuted on the Petit Wazoo tour in 72, and then they played that song all the way through until fall of 73. And that song consisted of 3 musical segments divided by solos. The first segment eventually got put into Gregory Peccary. The second segment eventually became Bebop Tango. And the third closing segment is the background music to Cucamonga. So once Frank stopped playing Farther Oblivion in fall of 73, he took apart those things and reinserted them or just gave them new names and they became other songs. So that's pretty much the most interesting thing about Cucamonga, is that it does have these different origins and musically it is pretty interesting, but there's these overdubbed vocals that just sound studio and sound out of place, and it just, to me, another live track here would have made this album much better. Then you get Advanced Romance, 12 minutes, almost 12 minutes, just a great straight blues jam. It shows kind of the dirty, rough edges of this band. This is a song in which everybody gets to shine. The bass section, the rhythm section is killing it, Bosio and Fowler. The improvised vocals and just everybody singing and having a good time. Danny Wally slide solo, a little Duke solo in the middle. You get a Frank solo. It's just a great jam band song. I might be even edited because there are versions from this tour in which they jammed into other songs and like really stretched the limits of the improv. I think this is one of the more tamer versions. It's still a great version, but yet another reason why they need to release an album from this. The next song is another Beefheart centerpiece, Man with the Muffin Head, Man with the Woman Head, which again is Beefheart lyrics with Frank conducting the band through all kinds of noises and stuff. And then, I'm not even going to argue this, the greatest guitar riff Frank has ever written, Muffin Man, closes the album. Now, the real reason why Zappa Family Trust needs to release a Bongo Fury box set is on this tour, this song was performed live, obviously, without vocals. It was 100% instrumental. There were no, girl, you thought he was a man. That was something Frank added after when he released the album. So the first tape I have from this, the show opens up with, I think it's an apostrophe into a Camarillo Brillo, which even back then had like the normal first half and then the slower, much slower second half. And then that would rip right into Muffin Man. They'd play the riff a couple times and then Frank would take off soloing. No vocals. That's the way it was the entire tour. It would be awesome to hear one of those versions. What Frank has done here is he's taken the Austin live track, he's put vocals over the guitar, and then he's also added a studio portion, which has this sort of cabaret, muffin, joking around thing. And it's a nice drop in when they finally go into the live vamp and the live riff, but it's just, it would be more awesome, it would be more powerful to hear that original instrumental live version. So, phenomenal album. I love it. Like the Muffin Man, the guitar solo on that, the riff, that is Frank's, I would argue, his greatest guitar riff. Throw other names at me. Great riffs. Frank's been writing Filthy Habits is great. Willie the Pimp is great. Magic Fingers. I mean, you can go on and on. This is the definitive Frank Zappa guitar riff. But anyways, great album. Even though it's number 25, it's still a must hear. It is very Beefheartian, which I think is one of the reasons not more has been released from here, because apparently there were contract issues at some point. Record companies suck, but maybe now in, COVID era, we can get some stuff out. But anyways, check it out. Great album, number 25, Bongo Fury.